What is up, bookworms and constant readers? Welcome back to the channel. You seen the title? It is finally the first Stephen King novel on the channel. This one is called Cell. It's I guess you could say it's average length for a Stephen King book. The copy I got is 473 pages. And it's not terrible. It's not one of his greatest stories. But the thing that ruins it is the ending, and I'll get to that in a second. But this is a fairly recent book of his. This one, I believe, was like 10 years ago. But it's fairly recent. I'm getting to the end of this read through on Stephen King and getting ready to start up another one. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my video on Stephen King and how I became a constant reader. I'll put a link up here or at the end of the video for you to check that out. But this is a really interesting take on the traditional zombie story, and that's essentially what this book is about. Is zombies with Stephen King's human element added into that story. And I think that's the root of all Stephen King stories, is that human element, that human emotion, how people react when terrible things happen. The problem I have with this book is usually Stephen King draws you into the story and you really care about the people in the story, and the people that he wants you to care about, you care about, and the people that he wants you to dislike or even hate, it's like that. This book, and this is the first time I ever read this book. This is one of the few Stephen King books that I've never read. This was my first time reading it. And I'll read it again. It's not one of those that I'll skip. So far, the only Stephen King book I will probably never read again, except maybe for this channel just to review it, is The Colorado Kid. I did not like that book at all. I liked the story, but the book didn't go anywhere. The ending was horrible. And it tells this cool, intriguing story, but there's no end to it. And it just kind of ends, and you're kind of looking, at the book. Am I missing something? What's going on? But it was probably his worst book I've ever read. I don't recommend it to anybody. The TV show that was supposedly based on the book, I don't know where they get that it was based on the book, because there were only 3 characters in the TV show that were actually in the book, and the TV show has absolutely nothing to do with what happened in the book. But if you are interested in The Colorado Kid, forget the book. Watch the TV show Haven. That is far better. I think if Haven would have been the book, I would have liked it. And this one, it's the ending that it's just like, what? So this is about a guy named Clay. And he's in Boston on business. And there's this event that happens through cell phones that they call the Pulse. and there was this signal that was embedded in the cell phone signal, and those who had a cell phone used their cell phone, they turn into these zombies. But the cool take on this is these aren't your mindless, like, Walking Dead zombies that they just wander around and don't know anything. As time goes on, these zombies, they get smarter, and they learn to communicate with each other. They learn to communicate with humans. They start getting, like, supernatural powers of levitation. They can make human beings do things against their will. They can make you kill yourself. And they move in these groups, these, like, little herds. And this guy, Clay, he is in Boston when all hell breaks loose and the world ends. And he meets another guy in Boston named Thomas. And Clay's only worry, only concern is to get back to Maine and check on his wife and his kid. And along the way, they run into others, and their group grows. And then some, without ruining anything, some events happen where they make the zombies mad. And this zombie horde actually has a leader that they call the Raggedy Man. And he basically doesn't leave them a choice but to go to this certain location in Maine and basically face the consequences of what they did to the zombies. And they communicate with them in their dreams. From that point on, nobody wants anything to do with Clay and his group. The zombies have told, like, everybody, stay the hell away from these people, don't mess with them. And you see what the consequences of not doing what you're told results in, because there is another group that they run into that does mess with Clay's group, and they pay the price. It's a very interesting and very entertaining take on the whole zombie horror genre. But the ending, it for lack of a better word, it sucks. I mean, it ends, and it's one of those endings where it's really up to you to decide what happens. And when it comes to this story, I don't like that. I want to know what happens. For this story, the way the book ends, it seems like there's going to be a sequel and the story's going to go on. But as far as I know, King has absolutely no plans to write a sequel, which is kind of sad because I think a sequel to this book would be really good and really entertaining. And you could wrap things up and not leave it hanging the way this book does. I wouldn't say it's a must-read. I think on Goodreads I gave it like a 4 out of 5 stars. Usually Stephen King gets 5 stars for me. He doesn't write a bad book, with the exception of The Colorado Kid. And this book is not bad, don't get me wrong. It is not bad at all. it's just, I didn't like the ending, and the ending really takes away from all the good parts of the book. And the big difference between this and other Stephen King books is he doesn't establish that connection to the characters that I like. It just makes it just a regular book and not a Stephen King book. But all of the traditional Stephen King elements are in it. You know, the human consequences of when weird stuff goes down. You know, human actions and interactions and stuff. And it's one of the few Stephen King books where the monster is actually a monster and not something totally different. But if you're into Stephen King and you've never read it, I mean, you got to check it out. If you're wanting to get into Stephen King, this is not like a good starting book. Maybe if you're younger, if you have like kids who want to get into Stephen King, but for whatever reason you don't want them to read some of his other more gruesome stuff, this is fairly good for that. There's not like sexual content or anything in this book. There are some gruesome parts, but it's pretty tame compared to some other Stephen King books. As far as what is next for the channel, so I am currently reading Lacey's story. I always thought it was Lissy, but I seen Stephen King on an interview and he called it Lacey. So I'm currently reading that. I'm about halfway through the second Dresden book, Full Moon. So that will probably be not the next video. The next video that you'll see on the channel will be at the end of the month on the 31st, and it will be my pretty much summer book haul. All the books that I've bought from, I believe it's May to August, and there's quite a few. Most have been bought in the last few months. But yeah, at the beginning of summer I was busy with school and not a lot of time to read, so I really wasn't buying books. I was working on schoolwork. There is a lot of reading for grad school. I do have a lot of work I have to do for the university that gives me time for that, so I'm hoping in my free time I still have a lot of time to read for pleasure and not for school. So we'll see how that works out. So far this is the first week of class and it's gone pretty well. I've got quite a bit of leisure reading done, but as the semester goes on, that'll probably change, because my first class, they assigned like 80 pages for the first week of reading, and then the other class I got, it is a history of energy class in this country, and we're doing a book a week, and the first book is like 300 pages, so I have to read a whole book in a week, and it's not a novel where it's fun to read. It's technical stuff. This one, it deals with how power has progressed in the United States from its history to today. I'm not going to bore you with that. I am not putting that on the channel, so Yeah, don't worry about that. I'm going to keep this fun. Stephen King, horror related, a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of fantasy, some book hauls. And when I get more followers, I'll start having more like opinionated videos where we can interact with each other in the comments, and just go from there. That's all I got for you in this video. Stephen King's Cell, 3.5, 4 stars out of 5. Check it out. Tell me what you think of the ending. I know certain people, they say the ending was perfect. I personally didn't like it, and I think it brings the book down. That's all I got for you in this video. Until the next one, read more books.